Good evening, good morning, and good night, wherever you are. This is Jennifer Randive coming back with an interesting conversation with a guest who I've known for a short while, but has actually created quite an impact. And I wanted to actually share that impact with everyone. So we're back with Conversations and Conscious Change. My guest today is Enolia Foti, if I pronounced that correctly, Enolia. Okay.
Correct, Enolia Foti.
Okay, so Enolia is a very interesting combination of sorts, and I've actually been looking at her profile. She is an award-winning international speaker, a global influencer, social entrepreneur, life and business coach, and author. Her 20 plus years of navigating the dynamics of the corporate world fortified her with leadership development, performance, and excellence. She has also have done a lot of things like having degrees in mathematics. Wow, that's interesting. Um, she's an MBA. She networked the entire IT solutions for global organizations. Wow. And how young are you, Enolia? Just a question. Did you start when you were in your Pampers? I'm just asking. The whole concept over here is we're going to be pulling out from Enolia today some of her amazing words of wisdom and golden nuggets. One of the most interesting things about Enolia that I have found is her amazing capacity to weave corporate excellence into leadership, as well as looking at how she can grow personally. That's the part that I love about her. The ability to help everyone, but never forget yourself. So, without further ado, Enolia, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Jennifer, for such a beautiful and grand introduction. I'm very, very grateful and very humbled. I'm doing wonderful today. I'm excited to be here. And I'm very, very happy to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah,
So I'm ready.
yeah. And the thing is that we don't have anything scripted. Everything just comes out the way it's supposed to come out. I truly believe that that is the most impactful way of communicating and sharing who we are and what we do. So,
Absolutely.
Enolia, besides the brilliant accolades that you have, which one of them you received today, so I'm going to wait for you to tell us what that is. But my question to you is, what is your point of view related to facades? All of us have them at some time in our life or the other. But the question here is, do facades actually help us going forward, or do they actually pose as a detriment to us in our own personal journey? I like your views on that.
That is a very, very interesting question and a very good one, I might say. I can only comment on this based on my own experience. Okay. We all have this training that we've engaged in that says that we are to go to school and in high school declare what we want to be and how we're going to proceed with our lives. And some of us do that diligently, really, really working from our hearts. And some of us follow the dreams that were given to us. Okay. So being a Westerner and being from New York City, I definitely followed I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. I'm going to be the CEO of this huge corporation or some significant role thereby in it. And that's going to be it for me, and to get married, have the children. And I did that.
The white
I
picket
did
fence and
exactly
the
that.
dog,
The
too.
white picket fence,
And
the big, beautiful house, the big car, beautiful family. I have two beautiful boys that are 28 and 26 right now. And, I was married for 30 years and I did my corporate stint for 20 years. and I put in my time. But I have to say that at the end of that corporate stint, what was happening was that there was a longing in my heart for something more, and I couldn't put my finger on what that was supposed to be more. Okay. And so as we honor that, and most of us don't, by the way,
Oh, yes.
as you honor
Oh, yes.
that, and
Yes.
you reflect inside, what happens is that you come to a point where you go, is this who I am? And is this where I want to be? And then when you face the truth of yourself, because only we can lie to ourselves, correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
So when you answer yourself truthfully and you sit there and you're saying, no, this isn't where I want to be, that's the facade. I've been living what I'm told to do, what I've been groomed to do, but is this what I want to do? Is that where I want to be? Is this the life I want to continue down the path on? And for me, it was an emphatic no in terms of my vocation.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
No.
I just want to ask a question before we carry on. Is in your experience, have you encountered that during the time of the corporate ladder, you gave it 100% and you were really doing brilliantly, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
um, so was it immediately after 10 years, 5 years, because everyone has a different time frame, but did you did you at that time actually feel that you were honoring the work that you were doing, or did you start having, those impulses of this is really not working, I'm not getting excited, this is not something that I'd like to pursue further? Did you go through all of that? Because what we want to do is to help the audience actually experience what they may be experiencing and have no clue, because it becomes like a dichotomy, for lack of a better word, where you're battling within yourself and you really don't know how to get to the next step. So, was that something similar that you went through too?
So, in answering that in the most honest way that I can, I gave 150% for my work. I loved what I did. I designed computer networks for a living. I got to do hands on, I got to do greenfields, I got to build something from the zero to fully functional alongside engineers. I loved what I did. And so, really, where it came to was when I had my second child. And there I was on maternity leave. And the person who took my place and took my team, you know, temporarily when I came back, received all of the accolades
Um,
that I had laid the foundation for without mention of me. One,
all right.
two, the CIO change, and I wasn't there for the change. So therefore, I was starting from ground zero where everybody else had been introduced as, oh yeah, they've always been in this role. Here's the work that they've done, here's their track record. But by the way, here she comes from maternity leave. You don't really know her. Yes, she did some things, but my temporary, who is now being given the permanent role, having
Wow,
filled my place while I was on maternity leave, yeah,
that is
is receiving all of the accolades.
totally unacceptable. I can see.
That is called the glorified glass ceiling, because what happens here is that the good old boy network positioned everybody where they needed to be.
Mhm.
And I wasn't there for the mixing. Too bad, too sad. And it changed the course of my career.
Wonderful. Now I'm going to ask you an amazing a question that sometimes, it usually happens to all of us. It's like, now when something of this sort happens and we are so in love with the work that we do, and then we have this thing that is thrown into the wheel and our whole life gets distorted. And we feel at that particular moment that, why me? I mean, I've really worked hard, and we go through that. But then
Mhm.
if you look at it today, if I ask you to look back and actually look at it, you probably have a different sort of a story to say or to tell us.
Yeah.
So my question over here is, was that destined to occur for you to actually appear in the way that we all can revere today?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Look.
it's it's interesting, but every individual has their own journey, and some
Mm-hmm.
of us sometimes want to hold on to it. But the way that I've
Mm-hmm.
seen it in my personal life is like, I mean, corporate, yes, we were on the ball, man. We were corporate junkies. I mean, it really turned us on. We did it. We excelled in it. And then a spoke in the wheel shows up. And
Mm-hmm.
now, you see, it's so amazing because a couple of months before I went through my massive change, it was like, I want change. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting bored. There's got to be something more, to it. And then when it finally hit, it's like, what the hell? you know? So
Exactly that.
no one is really prepared for that change. But please do share.
Yeah.
What are your views on that?
So you're exactly right, because when I reflect back, while I was going through it, I was angry. I was really, really
Normal.
angry. How could you not be angry? And you want to fight back, and you looking at the political ways that you can navigate and go through. And when I really look back, because I actually wrote about this. This is what my book is about. It's my journey through corporate and then transitioning into that new life.
There we go.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, I had been ignoring a longing and a calling in my heart that when that took place, I started to honor the calling in my heart. And when I started honoring the calling in my heart, my whole world and my whole view expanded.
Mm.
And it expanded because I started seeking new ways and new people to fulfill that which I wasn't getting fulfilled with at work. So I ended up going on a retreat with an indigenous grandmother.
Okay.
Her name was Grandmother Isabel Milwaukee. And I spent time in northern um, Ontario at the farthest reaches in Warncliffe and Serpent River with this grandmother. And my time spent there changed my life. It just changed everything because my world opened up, my whole world. Everything was corporate. Everything was like, oh, it has to be this. And if it's not this, the world's crumbling. And it's like, no, the world's not crumbling. And there's another way to live, there's another way to be. And it's inviting. And it doesn't have stress on my back where I feel like I'm carrying the load. And the number one thing is I'm not aspiring to people that I didn't even particularly care for.
Exactly. I mean, it becomes like a door opener. It's like a rat race. You are a
Yeah.
hamster on the wheel, trying to project what it is that you have to be and you must be according to what other people expect of you. And then you losing your own self-respect in the bargain and tolerating and getting frustrated. And it's it's a crazy thing. So
Mm-hmm.
so 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 now you're with this amazing grandmother and you go out and learn the indigenous ways.
Mm-hmm.
My question here is, and this is for the people who are going to be listening from the corporate world, do you chuck the baby with the bath water if you're transitioning from corporate into something different that serves you? Would it be a possibility that you would sever ties from everything in corporate? Or would you actually be able to inculcate what it is that you do now, the indigenous ways, into the corporate world? Because I'd love to hear about that.
That is a phenomenal question. And actually, I can answer it. When I first left corporate, I cut ties. I didn't want to do anything corporate.
Mm.
But that is a foundation of where I was groomed and who I am also.
Mm.
as well as this newly found faceted person. And what I realized later, reflecting back, and to answer your question, I blend. And what that's given me the opportunity and afforded me the opportunity to do is that I can meet people where they're at. I know that corporate life. I know the sheer stress that people are feeling. I know what it feels like when you're trapped. And I also know what it feels like when you're victorious and you just had the greatest achievement in the world. All of those things. I'm able to meet people where they're at. And then the things that I learned from the indigenous was it just brought me peace. Brought me peace to be able to understand that I can accept all aspects of me and I can choose which part of me leads. And it doesn't have to be the corporate side of me to lead, to be able to tap into that expertise and to come forward and lead authentically. That I don't have to lead with a hard edge, but I could lead with compassion, get the same achievements, and not having stepped on people along the way.
But have you noticed how amazing it is that you speak about this? And just today, I saw something on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and it was you being acknowledged and being honored to join. Okay, something. I'm going to leave you to say that. Please do share with our audience what that is. And then I'm going to ask you some questions around it. So, what is
So
it?
I was,
You've been honored?
yeah, I was honored to be ambassador of the Alliance for the People for the World. And that honor came from Duchess Winifred out of Kenya. And I'm really grateful for that because it just taps into everything that I love to represent, which is a leadership and being able to truly engage in that relationship building and working with governments and working with private sector and
I'm
being
going to come.
able to.
I'm going to come to that. So give me a moment.
Okay, okay.
So can you see how amazing this whole thing is? So then you go into whatever it is that you've done, you've excelled at it, maybe not been recognized just because you were on maternity leave, and then you come into the zone where you're hurt and you're bled and you are saddened, and then you try and look for yourself. You do that,
Mm.
you do it remarkably well. And one thing that you have learned that I'm reiterating is you actually learn to engage with people where they are and meet them where they are. It's not to project where they should be or find fault with where they're not reached yet, but actually meet them where they are. Now, you've done that for a good number of years, and how amazing that today, of all days, this order comes through. So, what is coming through when I'm looking at you and talking is number one, tears of joy for you, because I can sense the brilliance that is going to come through you, quite honestly. But could you tell us what exactly would be the main area of your responsibility when you take up this honor? What exactly will you be doing?
My main responsibility will be engagement in relationship building, and moving people and motivating and inspiring them. So really influencing people
Good.
to want to do more around their community, want to build more in their infrastructure, want to elevate communities that they are engaged in their lives, really.
But what is the stuff that you're going to be using that you've had in your past experience to facilitate that as going
Uh,
forward? You know what I'm saying? That is what
yeah.
it's so
And this
beautiful
is
to
the
actually see
personal
that.
development that I do, and I really embody, and I am. in terms of the fact that in order to find how to motivate yourself to aspire to be that which you know that you can do, not what somebody defines what you can do, but
That
that you know that you can do, you have to be able to find that courageous aspect of yourself and make sure that that courageous aspect is leading and not the part of you that's insecure or that's jealous or that just wants to manipulate their way through instead of navigating through stories and through life and through even the dramas or the praises. We have to be able to walk a path, and we have to be able to do that with clarity and a certainty and a trusting of oneself and the divine, and be able to move forward. And a lot of times, many of us get stuck.
so your job, if I can articulate it accurately, would be to help people to unstick themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I love doing
Oh,
that too. I do something little different, and it is like helping people to get out of their own way, for helping
yeah.
them to see that they are the way that they seek, and to help them authentically step into that with grace.
Exactly.
So now the other thing is this, that besides empowering people, which is one of the most important things, is to be able to extrapolate from people what it is that their capacity is, to relate their capacity to what it is that they do, and to streamline that for them so they can move forward diligently and have fun doing it too. Okay, that's one
Yeah.
aspect of what you're going to do. The second aspect is that you are looking at creating infrastructures. Would IT be one of the most important components of the work that you're going to help people navigate, create, and facilitate for them to actually get this up and running?
So IT is one component and one facet of the many things that I bring to the table. The bottom line is that I work with people to help them create what it is that they want to be and do. So if you are a chef and you don't like the way that the long line of chefs have come through, like for example in Europe,
Mm,
they're rude, they're nasty, they make sure that they're belittling, and you have your pecking order, and maybe that's not how you choose to want to cook.
exactly.
And so instead of going, this is how I need to conform, how do we establish so that you can build the culture by which you can thrive?
Mm,
That's what we're supposed to be doing. It's not always about the conforming and the fitting in, but the ability to create and to engage and to establish your own framework and your own system
mm,
by which you can thrive, and then you can invite others to thrive alongside with you.
true. That makes a lot of sense. What I was trying to bring to the fore is you're not only so again, if we were all to recognize that it's not necessary that all of us have just one thing that we're good at. And the way I look at it is, what if we were multifaceted like a diamond and we've only
Yeah.
polished one side of it? And what if the other sides are actually showing up throughout our life? What if we were
Mhm.
to acknowledge that that is a part of us, is just a bit rough? And sometimes those blows that we get are there to actually toughen us up and to become those amazing facets, the different facets. And that's what makes us the VVS ones of the world, to stand
Yes.
out and actually look gorgeous as we are. And having said that, it's really important for people not to go with an either or. Either I have to be like this or I have to be like that.
Or like that.
Yeah, my question to everyone is, why can't you be multiple facets? And actually, why can't those multiple facets become your appreciable assets? I just don't get it. Why do we have to do just the one thing? Again, we have been trained and framed to conform, because at that time that was the norm. But now we are breaking out of those silos, those boxes. And I
Yes.
think, and I think it is such a refreshing thing to actually see. And people like you and me, and there are quite a few that are showing up now, have been there, have done that, and now we're helping others to create from their own unique capacity and ability and brilliance, which is what
Mm.
truly does make the difference. I truly believe that what a gift, what a gift, what a gift you are, lady. Thank you for being
Thank
in my universe, honestly. So, how do we manage breaking down the facade and creating ourselves as this luminous, multifaceted diamond that we really are? And if someone is having problems in doing that, what would be your advice to them, Enolia?
So, in my experience, how I've done it is to have that look in the mirror and make sure that you do not lie to yourself, that you tell yourself the total truth, that you can look in the mirror and accept the totality of who you are, your weaknesses, your strengths, your everything. And then I feel that there are 7 tools that we have to work with. We have to understand the power and the value of our voice and what we bring to the table.
Mm.
We have to be able to be conscious at all times as we're walking through life and just not do things absentmindedly and unconsciously.
Mm.
I believe we have to redefine what fear means to us and to be honest when we're afraid of something so that when we face it, we don't acknowledge it or face it with through the eyes of fear, but understanding that we could set the fear aside and say, okay, as the courageous person that I am, this is how I'm going to address it. I believe that we have to stop giving away our power.
Yes,
That is something that we do.
I'd like to hear more about that because, quite honestly, there are a lot of people that I have experienced who are diminishing themselves just to maintain status quo. And
Mhm.
I believe that that's never a place for anyone to grow, to truly become the pro. So
Correct.
let's talk about that. So what give me some of the indications that people may want to recognize that they may be going through and yet are not aware of it consciously. What occurs?
So when you're giving away your power, someone proceeds with a judgment and judges you. And the moment that you accept that judgment as your truth, whether it's true or not, you just gave away your power to them. Someone has a perception of you, and you go, oh my God, this is what people believe about me. And you accept that perception of you as a truth, whether it's true or not, you just gave away your power to those people. And what we need to learn how to do
Mm.
is that we need to take points of information as just that. That's a point of information. So if I said, oh, Jennifer, those glasses just don't really do for you. And you take it as, oh my God, Enolia, how could you say that about my glasses? Maybe I should change them, blah, 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 blah. You just gave away your,
Absolutely.
right? But if you
Absolutely.
say, well, honey, that's one opinion. I tend to like these. And really, I didn't ask you for your
Mm.
opinion.
Mm.
Did you give away your power? Ah,
Mm.
no.
Which
It
is
was a
true.
point of information.
Mm.
It was something that was said. You didn't deem it your truth because, frankly, you didn't ask for it. You didn't care about the judgment. It's not your truth. And then you just push it aside and you proceed on, right? So,
It's an
therefore,
interesting concept, very interesting. The way that,
mhm,
because again, why would people be able to judge you if they hadn't experienced that themselves? So you see
they
that
have.
they've got to be able to have experienced it, had emotions around it, must have felt something. So when they're
That's right.
targeting something, because you cannot judge somebody unless you have actually been there, done that yourself. That's the way that I actually see it. And secondly, when people are looking at pointing a finger to somebody or something about somebody, the three pointing back at you. So before you do this, just do a checkup within you to actually see whether that is going to create more for you or for them. Because it's everything. And coming from the space of working with consciousness and access consciousness, it is more about everything is just a frigging interesting point of view.
But
Everything.
see, that exercise is about the fact of where we attach our emotions to.
Yeah, but then again, so our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts are coming, all get started with an interesting point of view that we're bought into, or it has been projected onto us,
Onto
or we
you.
are buying into and saying, oh my God, and go into the melodramatic situations that many people love to do instead of just being quiet. I have something that I created, very interesting. It is, we have the SLAs, the service level agreements with all suppliers and clients,
Yeah,
etc.
for sure.
But I created an SLA for myself, and I share that with my clients, is to stop, listen, and ask questions.
I love it. I love it.
Because if we were just, because it's a constant, mayhem in the head, and that's the hamster on the wheel scenario. And we keep on trying to fix it, fix it, fix it. And it's not, the approach has to change. So I'm very excited about your new venture, quite honestly. And I'm so happy for you because different approaches is what it is that's really required.
It is.
The same old ain't working no more. And people have to wake up and shake up. And whatever has happened in the last like 2 years has been such an amazing wake up call. It is not like, oh, people are dying, people are this, and going into the drama of it. But if you look underneath all of it, it has been a complete blow up for the paradigms from which people were operating.
Exactly. Yes, it is.
And it is remarkable to see what all is being created. Are we out of the woods? Not yet. But are we the ones, are we the catalysts for change that have taken it on ourselves to actually be the change and become the invitation for other people to choose that? I see you doing a remarkable job. And I would like to connect with you, possibly, and create something where we can excel with one another to create far greater. But having said that, Enolia, before we leave, I'd like you to share with us three, three or four or five, whatever you have that you'd like to share, of the nuggets that are related to the facade scenario, and how does the facade, if at all, assist you, and how can we really step into getting out of the facade and becoming our authentic self?
So I have this saying that I like to say, dream a beautiful dream or you will be dreamt.
Exactly.
Which means that if you don't hold a vision for yourself that you truly embrace with your heart, you will live your life living what other people perceive of you, judge you to do, judge you to be. And if you live a life of that judgment or being dreamt, what happens is you'll look up and you're older and you realize my whole life is gone. And what did I do? I did what everybody else told me to do. I didn't do anything that I love. Be honest with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Love what you see. And if you have trauma, if you have something to let go of, then engage someone to assist you and to navigate and help you through that drama and through that work that needs to be done so that you can embrace who you are and what you bring to the table right here, right now. We have one life to live. And if you don't live it, live it now, and live it to the fullest, awake, aware, conscious of the fact that you made these choices, you choose to navigate through life, and you love what you're doing, then you will find yourself surely in a situation where your life is over and you'll go, where did the time go? So take the time and don't be afraid to get that support and to get that assistance, to always broaden the view, because we're never too old to learn. We're never too old to be able to embrace something new and to see it from a different viewpoint. And that's the key, is to see it from a different viewpoint.
Exactly.
And so that's what I would share.
Cool. So now, having said that, and we're coming on to the end of our podcast, where can people find you, Enolia? Where can we reach out to actually connect with you?
I can be reached on my website, which is www.enolia, enolia.live.
Okay.
And there you will find a plethora of my services and meditations and my books and everything to be able to engage and assist you. I also am on all of the social media. So I am on Facebook under Enolia, and my business page is Enolia Foti. And I am on LinkedIn, I am on Twitter, and I am on Instagram. So there's not too many Enolias out.
Of course, we are special, aren't we? And why shouldn't we be? And why shouldn't we stand up in our part to actually share that authentically? That's the part that I love about you. Okay, so we will put all those contact details in the show notes for everyone to receive. Enolia, it's been a pleasure. And I love the authenticity that you project, and not project, but actually truly live. Can you give us can you give us a bit of something that your grandmother told you of the indigenous part? Something that she shared with you that you could leave us with.
I've learned so much from her. And the one thing that I always carry with me is this beautiful prayer that she gave me, because I really understand that we are made up of 70% water, and water records everything. So the things that you say, the things that you do are recorded in that water. So you are that how you carry yourself. So the simple prayer is, you take a little glass of water and you bless it. And then you touch the water and you touch your forehead and you go, let my thoughts be divine thoughts. And you touch the water and you touch your ears. Let me hear in a divine way. You touch the water, you touch the eyes. Let me see through divine eyes. You touch the water, you touch your nose. Let all smells that come through come from the divine. You touch the water, you touch your throat. Let me formulate the words from the divine. You touch the water, you touch your lips. Let me speak in the divine way. You touch the water, you touch your heart. Let it all come from my heart. And that's a prayer that I do all the time, no matter, especially when I have big decisions to make, or I have something that I have to engage in where what I say counts for every word. So I'll leave you with that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time. That was really beautiful. It's actually so beautiful, so simple, and yet profound. Really.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for taking the time, Enolia. And I'm quite sure everyone who's going to be listening to this is going to find a whole lot of amazing tools, techniques, and information. And if they want to reach out to you, they're going to be able to do that too, with total ease. So thank you everyone for listening in. This has been Jennifer with Conversations of Conscious Change. and Enolia, my guest, who came to shine her bright wisdom with all of us today. So thank you so much, and God bless.
God bless.